Greetings. It is Wednesday, the 5th of March, 2025. I trust you are well and you are coping with what you have for today. I've been teaching biblical prophecy. I've been lastly dealing with Revelations 13. But again, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to change gear and I'm going to name this video Side Note. I've been trying to promote the study of the Bible, but for today, I'm just going to change gear and talk about what's happening in the world today. As you notice in the news, a lot have been happening in the USA since January, and like many, I see it as a breath of fresh air. Obviously, there'll be people who disagree with me. They'll feel that it looks very troubling to many with the new administration, the Trump administration, Elon Musk, and those kind of people involved with changing things radically and very fast. For instance, we've seen recently the changes towards Gaza, the changes towards the Ukraine, USA tariffs on countries, the changes in their policies and deportations, etc. But be it as it may, there's those of us who see it as a breath of fresh air because there was a halt made to a lot of unscriptural things happening, especially in the USA, and it's an improvement. In a sense, the world has polarized. And some would see it as a good thing, others would see it as a bad thing, but I'm just generally commenting on it. There's basically two camps if we break things into that situation, the good and the evil. Others would see it as, the conservatives compared to or versus the liberals. Now, in general, liberal used to be, for me, a very good idea. It was like something positive and developmental, but in recent times, especially in the United States of America, we see that it's an idea that you can do as you please, you can do whatever you want. It includes what is called woke ideology, which includes things like transgender abortion, pro-abortion, and it actually affects the breakdown of families with this attitude towards gender, where divorce becomes quite common. So liberal became associated with the transgender and alphabet community, whereas conservatives were associated with conservative values, Christian values, believers' values, because I'd include even Islam there, Muslim values, as opposed to radical Islam, are very family orientated, the mother, father, and children, and united in the extended families. So there's much positives coming from even Islam in terms of conservative values as compared to liberal values, where women were accepted to dress very scantily and as much clothes as off as possible, whereas in conservative values there is common decency and family values. President Trump came in as a breath of fresh air in terms of these conservative values, where a halt was made to this total freedom, which was seen as positive, but actually was detrimental to family values, believers' values, etc. When I look at the USA, it's an example for the rest of the world. Internally, their policies were very liberal in the past 4 years, where education was utilized to corrupt, in a sense, young people in terms of their gender identifications, racial education. They used to drag people to do readings in schools and libraries, where the content and the gender were confusing for very young children. Whereas conservatives stood up against that, but because it was the Biden administration, they didn't stand much chance in trying to reverse some of those tendencies and processes. And the bad thing about that administration was that they not only internally pushed these policies and ideologies, but also they tried to export it to the rest of the world. And I'm thinking of Africa. There were several visits to Africa to try and persuade African countries, African presidents to reverse their laws concerning homophobia, homosexuality, and so on. But in most cases, the African leaders, presidents, they resisted, despite the fact that they were offered aid and money and so forth, and which I commend, because it's basically unscriptural. Those of you that don't agree with me, unfortunately, that's the case. It's either scriptural or it's not scriptural. And if we are Christians, if we are believers, we can't condone or enable this lifestyle that basically is against the normal, the natural intention of God in this existence. And what was bad about the Biden administration was also censorship. There was a great amount of censorship taking place, where even people who asked questions or had other viewpoints were censored. They were blocked, they were shadow banned in social media, they were banned, they were fact checked, and so forth. So it is actually a very negative thing, and that's why I say it was a breath of fresh air to bring in these conservative values again, to bring in common decency, to bring in common sense. It's all has returned. I don't know for how long it's going to be, but people like me, and there's many, are emboldened by this change, because you see that, for instance, people are showing their support for the ban on males participating in female sports that was brought about, and such laws were signed off by President Trump in the United States. So we feel emboldened to talk more out against it. The problem is the people that have accepted it and have sympathy for it, you basically are enablers. And, the Bible says in Revelations, come out of her, or otherwise you will also participate in plagues that you find in the book of Revelations. So it actually says that people who accept or approve of or are enablers of such viewpoints and such lifestyles are basically in error also, because you did not stand up for it, and you therefore will also be on the end of the judgments that are coming. So if I go to the last point I made there, that I don't know how long this change, this breath of fresh air is going to continue, because if, for instance, that man who is responsible for the changes is taken out, I don't want to use the other strong word, but is taken out, as happened to many presidents who build up a lot of enemies, etc., enemies to the cabal or the elites, is taken out, then all of this will change very much back to what it was in the last 4 years, and it'll come back with a vengeance, and it'll grow even worse. So it's a breath of fresh air, but we don't know how long it's going to continue. So in our prayer life, we need to, for instance, use that as something to pray for. That conservative values, believers' values, scriptural values may continue and be a blessing to us all. Otherwise, we're looking at bad things coming our way. And I want to leave you with that serious note, but say, have a great day further.